Hey everyone, welcome to Blockchain for Professionals. Our goal with this show and academy is to introduce you to the people and ideas that will actually help you to execute on your career goals within the blockchain space. Today's guest, an early blockchain adopter, a minor crypto economist, and editor at the Crypto Vigilante, Rafael LaVerde. Rafael, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm super excited to talk to you. There are a couple of topics that I want to discuss with you, which are Anarchy, blockchain and Bitcoin, and the current cryptocurrency market. And so I'm super excited to talk to you because, first of all, you're an anarchist, and that is the topic that's new to me. And probably a lot of people don't really know much about anarchy. Like myself, like I just recently came across it a few months ago, and then I just started watching more and more videos about it. And I think it's a topic that people should really learn more about it, because what I was originally thinking about anarchy and anarchists is that those are just some crazy people that go on riots to break things. But once I looked more into it, I learned that they are more for they're pro freedom. They are anti-government. They don't want to have a ruler, and at the same time are very peaceful and friendly. So, can you tell us something about anarchy, anarchists? What is it, and all about it?
Yeah, of course. So I think you draw on a very important distinction that needs to be made, and that's the distinction between anarchy and anomie, right? Anomie means no rules. No laws, no rules. Anarchy means no rulers, right? Okay. So the anomist does not believe in natural dominance hierarchical structures, right? Mm-hmm. The anomist does not believe in any rules, and not even natural law, right? They even want to defy natural law, right? Defy biology, they that's their mindset, and that's what they want. The anarchist just wants no rulers, right? Okay. The anarcho-capitalist perspective is that anarchy is only possible when human beings are able to enter into a voluntary exchange with one another. The emphasis is freedom. The emphasis is voluntary exchange, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. That is the anarcho-capitalist perspective, right? Within that perspective, we are fundamentally market anarchists, and we see that human beings, when they are given freedom, and the more free you are as a human person, the more that you're able to actually choose for yourself in your life. The more that people in general are able to choose for themselves in their lives, you create a market dynamic where people are then able to enter into voluntary exchange with one another, and they're able to and they're able to have more options for themselves and for others in the marketplace, right? So in order to have a true free market, you have to have unrestrained freedom for the individual, right? Mm-hmm. So that they can enter into the plaza and so that they can interact freely with one another, right?
Yeah.
So that's anarcho-capitalism. Now I was going to mention something else, but I forgot. But it's okay. We keep going. And
yeah.
Have any more questions?
While you were talking about it,
Sure.
And you were talking about freedom and the market, and I just put a couple dots together that everybody is looking for financial freedom, right? And it's so difficult in the current system to have financial freedom, because the way it's structured, you have to go to work, do your 9 to 5, and then pay all your bills, and then there's nothing left, and that puts you into a mindset of not really being creative, right?
100%. You're 100% right. And that's exactly the point that I was going to make. What is that? Think of a slave, right? Someone that is in bondage, and someone that can't even move his arms, right? Because he's in bondage and is only there for work, to work for free, right? For his master, right? That person can't choose, right? Literally, he's in bondage, right? Mm-hmm. So the more you're in bondage, the more you can't choose, the less you can make choices. The more you're in bondage as a human being, the less you can pursue purpose in your life, right?
Exactly.
And if you can't pursue purpose in your life, you can't pursue a meaningful existence as a human being, right? So you have to be able to free yourself and have the option to opt out, right? Out of any type of coercion. And that's why the anarcho-capitalist champions himself as a voluntarist, right? Mm-hmm. That a interaction with another human person is only ethical when it's voluntarily engaged upon, when you're not aggressing against the other. So the only normative rule within anarcho-capitalism tends to emphasize its ethics from a descriptive perspective, not a normative perspective, as the socialists and communists do, right? The socialists and communists put in front of them the normative argument of how you should be as a person and how you should act in the world, and it's normative ethically driven. The argument of communism is normatively ethically driven. The argument of the anarcho-capitalist is descriptive of it's descriptive in ethics. It describes human nature as is, and then steps further and says the only normative claim that it makes is the non-aggressive principle, right? Mm-hmm. Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you, and don't aggress onto anyone else, right? That's it. It's the same non-aggression principle that we see with the golden rule, right? That we see in all cultures, right? It's that common denominator of normative ethics that the anarcho-capitalist follows, right? Mm-hmm. So when you look at something like cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, what that does is that you have capabilities as a human person to act freely in the world, right? But then to a certain degree, you're still limited, right? Especially financially, right? We understand capital controls to be nothing more, nothing less than people controls, human controls. That's a way to constrain you, to keep you from being able to act freely, to move freely in the market, right? Right? You're always depending on a third party, right? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
That is the government, right? Now, if you step back and you see government interactions between government entities themselves and different nation states themselves, you will see that they themselves are acting and living in anarchic relationships with one another, right? Right? There is no government, well, not that we explicitly know of, right? Overseeing all of the governments, right? Some people would actually want that in this world, and that's really messed up, right? Yeah. But Bitcoin and crypto, what it does is that it augments your human movement, right? Mm-hmm. And your human action, right? So human action is at the heart, is the science. Look, so there's a science that people don't know about, and it's the science that has been persecuted and discredited the most in all of faculties throughout the world. And that science is called praxeology. It is the science of human movement, okay? Of human action, the science of human action. And the axiom of that science starts off with things that are apodictic, meaning things that are unquestionably true and true in and of themselves, right? Mm-hmm. Which is that the axiom that starts with is that all human action is purposefully driven, right? Mm-hmm. Human beings act with purpose. Now, it's a axiom that is apodictic, because if you're trying to discredit that claim, right? If you were someone who would say, no, actually people don't act with purpose. Well, by you doing that yourself, you are then right there acting with purpose, trying to discredit the axiom itself. Every human action is an act of man, as Aristotle would say, right? Aristotle would say that as a human being, you're walking down the street, and if you accidentally kick a stick, you kick the stick accidentally. But the moment that you are focused on the action, right, and your will is involved, then it becomes an act of man, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you study human action, the science of human action, you focus on not the motives or drives behind human actions, whether it be conscious or unconscious, or pardon me, or subconscious. That is psychological. That is the psychological mind. That is the psycho. That pertains to the field of psychology, right? Right.
Mm-hmm.
For the field of praxeology, we don't study the motivations for actions, but we look at the action itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's the action itself that we study, right? And we understand that there are laws that pertain to your action as a person. So here's a great example, right? Before you conducted this meeting with me here,
Mm-hmm.
you were constrained by time, right? And because of time, you had to choose to do one action before doing another action, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had to act with purpose in choosing one action before the other, right? That in itself shows you how you act with purpose as a human being, right? So now we can extrapolate from the praxeological axiom that human beings act with purpose. And that in itself is the foundation of economics, of real economics, right? Real economics focuses on the action of human beings as individuals, as actors in the economy. Real economics, Austrian economics, says that the most important person in all of the economy is not some person up in the Federal Reserve or in the IMF who's at the top of this pyramid. That's not the most important person. For us, the most important person, for us Austrians, the most important person is the individual entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? Because you, as the individual entrepreneur, you yourself are able to see, you're the point of contact in the market. You're the one that is able to see the deficits and the excesses in the market. You yourself are able to arbitrage between these excesses and deficits in the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the opportunity. When you see that as an entrepreneur, you're able to profit and you're able to fulfill a need in the marketplace, right?
Right.
So when when people are free and when they're able to interact freely in the marketplace, they are able to fulfill one another's needs a lot faster, right? Because there's a lot more options, there's a lot more competition, and there's a meritocracy that inherently happens, right? Right? And the most beautiful thing starts occurring, which we see in cryptocurrency, is that we start seeing not just collaboration or competition, which is kind of like the dichotomy that we end up finding ourselves in when we have the government just completely, constantly oppressing people, but rather you start seeing a beautiful thing emerging called co-opetition, right? Which is the mixture of both the competitive and the collaborative, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have co-opetition occurring in the market, and that's exactly what's happening in cryptocurrency, right? In cryptocurrency, arguably, one of the most beautiful investments that you make when you buy crypto is that you're not only buying the technology and the capability of the technology itself, but you are actually investing in all of the other investors that invested in that given blockchain with you.
Mm.
So your investment is not just in the technology, but it's in the group of investors that are looking out for you, and you're looking out for them, right?
Right.
That's what beautiful, even amongst rivals, right? We can have rivals buying into Bitcoin into any chain, for example, but even that Byzantine fault tolerant system allows you to compete with your rival while at the same time protect the marketplace, right? So we have the marketplace as being the agora, which is the Greek word for it. The marketplace is what the most important aspect of human interaction and of society, civilization for the anarcho-capitalists, right? Any socialist, alt-right, or Keynesian vibes, or even Hoppian, because Hans Hermann Hoppe is an Austrian economist, they tend to start emphasizing the commune, right? Over the market, right? So there is if you were to understand anarcho-capitalism better, you would have to kind of understand it in degrees of involvement and of philosophy, right? You have the libertarian, libertarian is pretty much encompasses everything. There's a big L and the little L within libertarianism. The big L is libertarian at large, and little L, I forgot which one is which, but anyways, one still kind of believes in the political system and wants to even be part of a libertarian party.
Okay.
So, to me, I'm an agorist. I see that as kind of ridiculous, right? Then you have the anarcho-capitalist, which is what a libertarian becomes 6 months later, right?
Okay.
Once he becomes completely jaded by the state, and then there are many derivatives of anarcho-capitalism, because every human being is, you can't, everyone's different, right? Literally, and everyone has their own perspective, and they're all important people in the economy, right? Again, the most important person in the economy is you, the individual, not some person out there. It's you. You're the most important person in the economy. And this is why they don't teach this in schools, because if they were, they would be empowering everyone. You go to any faculty in the world that teaches business, finance, economics, and they'll teach you Keynesian economics, which literally makes the case in a very confabulated and confusing argument that you need a central planner, that you need a authority to oversee you. And it's an indoctrination camp, really. These are indoctrination camps for compliance, to keep this beast going, right? Austrian economics and the science underneath it, which is the science of praxeology, are something that they don't teach on purpose, right? Literally, there are no more than I can think of 5 faculties throughout the entire planet that teach Austrian economics, right? You have, in the United States, you have Georgetown, you have Loyola in New Orleans. You have a school in Guatemala. And then you have a couple amazing institutions in Spain.
You went to one yourself, right? I saw that on your...
No, I wish. No, but the libertarian community and the Austrian economics community in itself is so. Well, one of the things is that we really don't. We find intellectual property to be silly, and we dispute it as not even reasonable at most. So all these texts, you just go to the Mises Institute, Mises.org. All of the texts in Austrian economics are there for free on PDF. You can download them and just read them, right? Right? Because, we can talk about intellectual property if you want, but that's just another topic altogether.
While we were talking about education, I'm also super into education, just because I have a little daughter. She just turned 2, and we're not going to send her to school. We're going to homeschool her. And do you have any information for people like that? How should they approach education, especially for children at an early age? Do you have anything to share about that?
Well, I mean, I do have a graduate degree in psychology, so maybe I can speak a little bit to it. And for the most part, I will tell you that the social sciences are literally socialist driven, right? Praxeology is the answer to the social sciences. And that's why they don't teach it at university, right? Praxeology is seen by them as just a dumb science, when in reality, it really empowers people. The social sciences are not based on apodictic truths, but rather they use the scientific method, which is very good for hard sciences, but when they apply it to human beings, you end up literally with what the DSM-5 is now in the United States, right? Psychology, which is the manual for psychology in the United States, right? It's a political tool. It's like the discipline of psychology, sociology they're just political apparatus. They're of the state. That's really what they are. And from being through their concentration, through their indoctrination camps, I can tell you that the one thing that they teach you and they emphasize is obedience to authority. 100% in the social sciences, right? It's ridiculous. You can't be a creative, independent thinker at all. And if you do, it's just as bad as having a law degree or any type of other government permission to work and earn a living, which is, you have to be under compliance constantly, live completely under fear. And so, yeah, I mean, I honestly, I personally don't like public education. I think it's despicable. I think it's horrible that you would send a precious child to such a horrible environment. It really is bad, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy, and
especially right now, like you're reading, all these tweets of parents that they have young children, they go to elementary school, and they have to go through drills of if there's a shooting happening, there's somebody who's playing the shooter, and then the kids, they have to hide and run away or something like that. That's really traumatic, and it should not really happen ever to children to even know about it or have to deal with it. That's not why they go to school. And just education on its own, that's why I'm doing Blockchain for Academy, because I went to school myself. I have an MBA degree here from a American university, and you don't really learn anything here. It's like even the teachers, they don't really care much about, unfortunately, a lot of them. All the exams that you get, all the answers are online. So people go to school, they end up with student debt. Right now it's 1.5 trillion. And like, if you write out the number 1.5 trillion, it's insane. And I don't get it how, the government makes it as a requirement for, children to go to school. I mean, in Germany, I'm from Germany. So actually it's required in Germany for a child to go to school. Like, you have to go to school. You cannot homeschool. It's crazy. And if you try to leave the country in Germany, and you're at the airport and it's school time and your child supposed to be in school, the people at the airport, at the border, they will ask you, does your child has an exemption to leave the school? And if they don't, you will pay a fine, and they will not let you leave the country. So the school has to allow your child to leave during time of classes. And if you don't have that, they will not let you leave.
Just remember that, like Rothbard says, everything the state has is stolen, right? Mm-hmm. And now they literally want to steal your kids. They think literally that they own your children. That's how messed up this is, right? So yeah, we don't need to send our kids there. It's pointless. It's sad that people are heading there. And some people go to these, even private schools are that get government funding in one way, shape, or form, are they're just part of the same culture of compliance, right? So we definitely need to create more alternatives for people, and that's what I'm really happy that you're doing what you're doing, because that's exactly what we need. We need more people like you doing what you're doing, showing people the options of the market itself.
Yep, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so going back to blockchain, a lot of anarchists, they are super into blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And can you talk a little bit more about that? What do you get excited about blockchain technology? And where do you see it in the future? Like maybe, I don't know, 5 years from now. I mean, 5 years from now is probably a crazy timeline, because everything changes so fast, literally day by day. You have 10, 20 news coming out, but what's your take on that?
That's a loaded question. I mean, definitely from an anarchist perspective, all options are great options, right?
Right.
The number one sin against government is competition, right? And that applies for all governments. They hate competition, right? So, this is the biggest competitive effort where you as an individual can compete in the market freely with the entire planet. And look, man, we're hacking human self-preservation. That's really what's happening here, right? Once people get a taste of what's going of this freedom, and they realize that they can finally augment their human choice, augment their human experience, where now you're free not just to move freely because you're not a slave in literal physical bondage, but you're actually able to enter into voluntary exchange with anyone in the world without the need of a third party overseeing you. There's no question in my mind that this is going to take off. To be honest, I don't think we're barely at the beginning of all this. Everyone watching this is literally an early adopter, right? Even if you haven't bought any crypto.
And when did you get into the crypto space?
Come again?
When did you get into the crypto space?
2012. I got into the crypto space. Yeah.
And how did you learn about it? And why did you decide to stick with it?
Well, I was working. I've always been an entrepreneur, and I got into it through studying Austrian economics. I was volunteering for the Ron Paul campaign in the U.S. I call Dr. Paul Papa Paul, but I also call him the grandfather of Bitcoin. It's true because it's it's that generation that he created of anarchists, anarcho-capitalists, and libertarians that really ran with Bitcoin. We're the first ones to really take off, and to this day, the majority of us are libertarian and anarchists, right? So, yeah, he used the political platform in running for president in 2008 and 2012 as a podium to teach Austrian economics, to teach praxeology, right? To teach about how banking really works, how the Federal Reserve actually works, how the International Monetary Fund works, how all these crooked bankers work, what they never teach you in school, right? So once I helped out with his campaign in 2012, I also was part of a political action committee, a super PAC in the US. I just got fed up with politics. I knew politics was not the answer. And I was studying Austrian economics with a very dedicated group of scholars at the University of Texas in what was called the Mises Circle. And everyone in that group went on to become very influential in the space. And that's where, in studying monetary theory, we all came across Bitcoin and we're like, wow, this is incredible. What is this? And so we learned about it, and here we are, what is it now? Like 8 years later. And yeah, I honestly think we're still at the beginning of all this.
Yeah. What are some of what are some of the projects that you're excited about? Some of the crypto blockchain projects?
I really like all of the Bitcoin forks, BTC, BCH, and BSV. I like them all three. Why is that? I like them all three. And the reason I like them all three so much is because if you look at human intelligence is nothing more but a race. When you seek profit is sought by understanding and knowing and coming to know something before someone else, right? The moment that knowledge is known by the masses, at that moment, there's no longer a margin for profit, right? So the first group of investors, the first people to discover Bitcoin, in my opinion, are the most intelligent group of investors, right? And as I stated earlier, aside from the technology itself, I'm a strong believer that I don't believe it. It's just, for me, it's true, that the network of investors is extremely valuable, and that the greatest investment that you have is the investment that you have in all of the other investors within the currency, right? So when we had Bitcoin at the Genesis block, and all of the investors that came in before the forks that have UTXOs, transactions that have wallets that have never been split in the forks, all these people have ended up with an index of Bitcoin. We sometimes call it the Bitcoin index, right? And so no matter what chain wins, they will win, right? Overall, what guards and oversees all of Bitcoin are the miners, and the miners are agnostic to any one of these three chains, right? So the miner's incentive is to secure the network, right? But the miner itself is profit seeking, and it's the class of investor within Bitcoin that has the most to lose if something were to go wrong, because the miner itself is in the position of holding the asset with least liquidity, right? So let's say you yourself, you own coin, mm-hmm. you have a business in Bitcoin, and you're also a miner, right? Mm-hmm. Crypto crashes, everything goes down, right? Your business, you can pivot your business to something else in fintech, right? Your coin, you can sell it as the price is going down, but no one's going to buy your miners. So you as a miner, miners are incentivized to secure the network, and miners are the people that see, the genius of Satoshi was to create a system that is not just technologically secure and Byzantine fault tolerant on a technological level, but it is it has the economic game theory built within it, so that the system itself protects itself and calibrates no matter what happens, right? Mm-hmm. So no matter what happens in the future, Bitcoin will be doing great. This is an anti-fragile system from so many perspectives. But on the mining perspective, miners, when all these chains find themselves in economic pressure in the future, which will happen, mm-hmm. miners are going to have to be forced to become more leaders than they already are. And they're going to have to choose between one of these three chains, right? So, and we could see a future where one of these chains is left behind by the miners in favor of just two, or two of them are going to be just let go in favor of just one. But that's the miner's prerogative, right? So the miners, in my opinion, are the most important entities in Bitcoin, right? Mm-hmm. And now, so that the network of all the Bitcoin chains, which is a network of miners, is to me the most exciting thing in Bitcoin. And second to that is Monero. Mm-hmm. By far, I think Monero is extremely underpriced because it is the first coin that is using the Kryptonite protocol, which focuses on the privacy of the individual and the security of the individual user to be able to interact freely in the free market, and also provides you with the fungible currency in cryptocurrency, right? Mm-hmm. Monero, the XRM, right? It's mm-hmm. completely fungible, right? You won't have the problem with Monero of going to a merchant and the merchant telling you, hey, wait a minute, one of those coins that you have in your wallet are tainted. We can't take it. Because if you lose fungibility in the coin within the unit of account, right, of a given currency, you have some of the coins within that same network of the currency, some units of account worth more than others that are not. And you don't see that happening with the dollar, right? Mm. People receive cash, dollar bills everywhere in the world, and they're valued equally, right? The US dollar is fungible, right? The euro is fungible. A gram of gold is fungible, right?
Yep.
Bitcoin is fungible as well on a technological level. On an economic level, when you start tainting coins through blockchain analysis, the coin itself, you start having coins being favored over others that are still Bitcoin, right? Mm-hmm. So I think Monero is definitely a project to keep your eye on. And again, that's a network of investors that is very smart, because they're the ones that saw the opportunity of having a fungible coin in the market that offers something that no other coin is offering, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned a couple times smart people, and I totally agree with you that in the cryptocurrency space and the blockchain space, there are so many incredible smart people, geniuses that are working in that industry. And a lot of people don't know anything about blockchain and Bitcoin and don't have any cryptocurrencies. And in 2017, we had a really good bull run, and then it crashed, and now we're getting back, to a bull run. Can you talk about a little bit about the upcoming bull run? Do you think we are currently in the bull run? And also, the people that didn't know anything about cryptocurrencies and blockchain, those are the ones that actually ended up losing a lot, right? People took on second mortgages, maxed out their credit cards when Bitcoin was at 20,000, and then they went all in, and then they just lost everything.
That's just part of, yeah. Well, for the first time in history, a true global free market, it has been born, right? And all of this volatility is nothing more, nothing less than like a baby taking its first breaths, right? Like that's all it really is. That's the image that I have of this volatility and what's happening, right? For the first time in history, human beings are completely free, right? This is not an experiment. This is truth. And so we have to preserve this, and we have to champion this, and we have to teach people about this, right? Because there's still a lot of profit to be made in the future. But yeah, people lose money because of asymmetry of information. But see, the beautiful thing here is that a lot of what has happened within Bitcoin is based on, and in crypto has been based on speculation, right? I would advise caution because what matters most is not just the price of Bitcoin, but the actual robustness of these networks, right? Can these networks hold the throughput necessary to take on a global economy, right? The leaders at this moment are Bitcoin, BTC, its forks, and then the rest of the altcoins, right? So come a year from now, on May 21st, 2020, we will have the halving, right? Where the block reward of miners will be divided by 2 from 12.5 Bitcoin per block of time to 6.25. We're going to start seeing more economic pressure within these chains, right? That are leading the pack, right? Especially BTC. So yes, we're starting to see a lot of extrinsic factors happening within Bitcoin, right? We have the backed BAA thing, KT, the ETF. We have so many things, right? That are extrinsically happening that are very good, right? For adoption, Microsoft, you have Starbucks talking, you have Twitter, right? You have so many things, right? That are extrinsic to the chain. But what everyone's focusing on right now in this year is to build and fortify these networks to make sure that when the bull run does happen, when there is economic pressure, that all of the incentives necessary to hold together these networks are aligned, so that there is so that there's no because whenever there's a bull run, there's also a panic at the other end, right? A panic sell, right? So, but that's just the market calibrating itself. What's important is to keep an eye on the fundamentals and what's really happening, and to keep in mind not just the technological, but the economic contingencies, the economic contingencies and the game theory that's happening with all of these factors that are constantly calibrating each other, right? At the Crypto Vigilante, that's part of what we do, right? We focus not just on technical analysis, but we also focus on what I just mentioned, right? And another aspect that we focus on is on applied cryptography for the layman, right? Because it's no use to just with Bitcoin, like Obama said, you are your own Swiss bank, right? It's like having a Swiss bank in your pocket. Well, that requires a lot of responsibility, and we will do our best at holding your hand, but in reality, the responsibility comes down to you. So cryptocurrency is only possible due to the science of cryptography. And that's why understanding and growing your understanding and aptitude in applied cryptography is so important. And that's why we're emphasizing it so much at the Crypto Vigilante, because people need to learn how to secure their livelihood with cryptocurrency as best as possible. And not just with cryptocurrency itself, but with cryptography itself, right? People are exposing their whole life on social media, right? And in future generations, people are going to look back and realize how ridiculous this generation is right now, right? That they're exposing everything on social media, right? But for us that are more activists like myself, it's important to teach people these things so that we can build a world of freedom and prosperity, and not a world of tyranny and surveillance, right? So yeah, but a lot of that comes with building a community, with building the community in a way that that is fortified by this same science of cryptography, right? So that we can use these technologies not just for exchanging goods and services on a voluntary means, through the currency itself, but to be able to communicate freely, right? So that there's no censorship, so that we can actually associate freely, right? As human beings. I would say that what excites me the most above all that is entrepreneurship. Yeah, I honestly think people are thinking too small right now. They still are thinking too small. They're thinking too small. And I think that a lot of it has to do because people have been conditioned not to think big.
Yep.
Right? Not just to not think big, but not to be daring. So I challenge everyone out there to be more daring, right?
Can you talk a little bit more about the crypto Vigilante, what it is, what kind of information are you sharing again? And I believe it's a newsletter, right?
Yeah, it's a newsletter. We just launched today to the public.
Oh, wow.
And if you go to dollarvigilante.com, you'll see all the information there. And
congratulations to the launch.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, we gave our subscribers of the Dollar Vigilante first dibs this past week, but now this week we open it up to the world, and there are a lot of gems in crypto, right? A lot of cryptocurrencies that are gems that are extremely undervalued that we will be announcing. We're going to announce our first one on the 27th, but you have to be a Crypto Vigilante member, and they're undervalued, and these are coins that we need to champion because they offer the market a lot of that, for individuals in the market. What we've been talking about, right? Freedom, security, prosperity, right? So that's one of the things. But again, we can't. We're gonna eventually have to close our subscriptions and not allow anyone else in. So we're going to be open for from today to the next week on the 27th at midnight. We will be at the end of the 27th. That's when we're going to announce our first pick of these coins. But since these are coins that are small, right? We can't have the whole world become a subscriber, because if that were to happen, then these coins are so small that just, you know what I mean? We the whole world can't just go in and buy all of these at once, right? So, it's our opinion of what we think is good for the market, right?
Yeah.
Right. And first and foremost, it's our opinion based on Austrian economics and praxeology, because we don't only see this again as just a means of making money, right? We are activists, right? And so the most important thing for us is not just to teach, to comment on from an Austrian perspective, how the market's doing and how the coins are doing, but also for us, it's very important to teach you how to use this technology effectively, right? I haven't found any other newsletter that does that. And it's kind of sad, but I would love to see more competitors teaching people how to use these technologies effectively.
Yeah, because at the end, then everybody will win, right?
Exactly. It's that whole notion of, co-opetition, right? Collaborative competition, right? And the more the overall community is fortified in understanding these technologies, and the more that we all can grow together, right? So I love that word, co-opetition, and that's that word right there, and it's an actual word, literally explains crypto so well, just on so many levels,
Yeah, I like that. I haven't heard it before.
Yeah.
Okay, my very last question, and you partially answered it already, but maybe you can, put it down to one or two things. But what do you get most excited about the blockchain industry? Like within I don't know, maybe the next few years, months or so, like what do you get most excited about? Like, why do you get sometimes butterflies, about a certain topic within the blockchain space?
Entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship.
Real entrepreneurship. Yeah. Not permissioned entrepreneurship. Very world-changing entrepreneurship. That is now possible, right? So, unlike any other time in history, gosh, man, I mean, just be creative out there. Like, just be creative. And if someone else is doing something, don't do that. I mean, I'll give you an example.
Yes, please.
We all come from a very competitive dog-eat-dog bullshit perspective because of our indoctrination, right? Right? Everyone's guarding their little licenses, and everyone's operating in this world with their licenses, with their permission, and it's dirty, it's nasty, and it's nasty because of the government coercion, like, you know, what us libertarians call the gun in the room. There's always a gun in the room, right? There's always that government agent constantly, like, you know, you better be doing things the way I want you to do it, wherever it is that you are in the world, right? And that creates an environment of scarcity, a very scarcity mentality, right? In people's minds. And what I've noticed in my travels is that wherever I've gone that is more free a society is, the less scarcity the mindsets are. So what's happening in crypto is that it's almost like people's brains are changing, and they're realizing that the paradigms that they grew up with are not necessarily, and the paradigms that are taught in university, they don't apply anymore. Like you were talking about education, right? Dude, you can learn anything you want online. I recommend Tom Woods. He has a whole homeschooling course. Tom Woods, he's a great, amazing Austrian economist, philosopher, incredible. He has a whole curriculum. Ron Paul has a whole curriculum for homeschooling. Look it up. It's beautiful, right? Now, when it comes to entrepreneurship, we saw a lot of people that were new to Bitcoin and crypto come in 2016, 2015, and they heard about ICOs, and now everyone wanted an ICO. Even Limpton Ice Tea had an ICO. It's ridiculous. Well, they had the name blockchain, and their stock price went up, but that's ridiculous. That just shows you the lack of creativity that has happened, and this is due to the fact that human beings have been conditioned to not think freely. Because they are scared. People are scared. People are scared. Just go to the market. Just go to any downtown, and you see people are bothered. That constant fear. You know, just talk to any physician in the United States. Ask him how much he pays for his malpractice insurance. Right? I mean, this constant fear of coercion. Right? That for anything, that you could get sued by anyone for anything, right? Is detrimental to the human spirit and to entrepreneurial creativity, right? So that creates an environment where people just kind of like they don't use that RAM in their head, that RAM space, to actually be creative entrepreneurs, right? So an example of that was the ICO craze that happened, right? There's an ICO. I was part of the group that created the concept of the ICO. I was personally never fond of it. I actually stopped being part of that group because at the time I was a Bitcoin maximalist, and to a degree I still am, you know. I'm more of a minor maximalist now when it comes to Bitcoin, but yeah. I just saw it as another funding structure that could be possible in the future, you know, depending on how it's done and so forth, right? But there's more to this, right? And a good example would be I know a lot of people talk bad about Craig Wright, and sure, I don't think he's the most likable person in the world, but put him aside and just look at Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. And their mindset for entrepreneurship is completely different from anything I've seen in crypto, right? Entrepreneurship is not to be happening within the protocol level of the Bitcoin Satoshi Vision blockchain, right? Entrepreneurship is to be happening at the edges, right? The protocol is stable, right? It's a whole different mindset. And what you want to do is the entrepreneur. Okay, so if you're going to have a new application, you don't create a new coin, right? Within BSV, you use BSV, right? And even a smarter approach would be, don't even market the BSV at all. Think about it. Just offer a service in the market, a legit business in the market, whatever it may be, and use the blockchain as your database. You don't have to have your own, and it'll be, I mean, dude, right there on the cost of running a database or, of paying for a database, you're already beating out your competitor. You're just using the Bitcoin blockchain and you're paying miners on the back end. So your users, your customers don't even have to know that your company is running on Bitcoin SV in this example, right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because everything settles on chain, right? Right? Same thing. Something very similar is happening in the Bitcoin Cash community, right? Right? It's a little different, but it's kind of the same mindset, right? Bitcoin BTC. My business partner, Mr. X at the Crypto Vigilante, loves BTC. So if you want to learn about that, read a lot what he has to say about BTC. But BTC has another mindset, right? Where entrepreneurship is still, right? But again, remember that their block size is 1 megabyte. So settling on chain for all little microtransaction it's not something that is allowed to happen within the BTC blockchain. For that, they have the Lightning Network, right? The second layer, right? Okay. That's not possible there. What I'm talking about, this business plan that I mentioned first, it's not possible there. For example, if you're a musician or for anything. So see, this whole mindset of an ICO was not something that we ever even thought about back in the day. For us, everything was going to be just possible on chain. So yeah.
So the ICO was basically not like necessarily abuse, but just because of a traditional mindset, people were taking advantage of it.
Well, it's just the market waking up. That's all it is. It's just the market waking up, man. We're seeing human beings throughout the planet waking up for the first time, right? They're waking up for the first time. And Daniel Krawitz, who we call the Emperor of Bitcoin, he has this amazing analogy, which is very true. Bitcoin is almost Bitcoin, crypto, whatever you want to call it. Every chain, it's like the brain power of all of the investors and entrepreneurs within that chain. It's like a brain, dude. That is like, and that brain is growing, right? Some that are maximalists would say in the future there will only be one coin to rule them all. Others say we will have a world of crypto plurality. I personally think that eventually we're going to have one coin that is in the future, far distant future, one coin that's going to be for the market. Economically, that's what at this moment makes sense to me. That preserves the market, and it's going to be more likely a coin of surveillance by governments, and governments are going to be part of that coin, right? And hopefully this coin is not centrally planned, but rather hopefully this coin runs on a meritocracy, and it's run by a meritocratic competition, right? And then you're going to have a coin like Monero, I think, in the future that secures the individual, right? So that's the future I see, right? And when people talk about, oh, well, what about the DAO? What about decentralized autonomous organizations? That's what it means, right? Or things like that. Well, I step back and I'm like, wait a minute. That sounds great. All these smart contract platforms are great. And yes, even Monero is going to be launching its own smart contract sidechain called Tari, TARI.com. And they're great. But remember, the first and foremost important decentralized autonomous organization is called money, right? Money is what provides us, is the means, is the asset class that allows us to keep our options open in the market so that we can invest and divest into less liquid things, right? That's one of the aspects of money that people tend to forget. And money is what unites us, right? So we have all these competing currencies, and this is just awesome, man. Watching all these coins compete and all the forks of Bitcoin compete with one another, it's just beautiful. And so I would say that what excites me the most above all that is entrepreneurship. Yeah, I honestly think people are thinking too small right now. They still are thinking too small. They're thinking too small. And I think that a lot of it has to do because people have been conditioned not to think big.
Yep.
Right? Not just to not think big, but not to be daring. So I challenge everyone out there to be more daring, right? And to let go of that fear, man. Because Uber wouldn't be Uber if it had to go seek government approval, right? Couldn't have happened, dude. The taxi cartels worldwide would have shut it down before it. What they did was very simple. They just threw the ball out there and had them wrestle with it, right? So yeah, entrepreneurship is by far the most exciting aspect of all this, and competition amongst these entrepreneurs, right? So, yeah, think about entrepreneurship as applicable to the real world, and use crypto as the back end of your business. I think that's the business model of the future, and I champion and I applaud people that are doing that, and I hope more people do that. And now it's up to you as an entrepreneur to figure out which one of these chains is best for you, right? So if you are, depending on your line of work or what you do, right? If you're, let's say, an attorney and you're like, you know what, this would be great, right? Obviously, there's a good argument for you to use Monero, the Monero blockchain, right? To be made. There's a great argument. And there's also a great argument for you to use one of the Bitcoin chains, right? Or another project, right? Whatever. But that comes down to you. So the bull run that I care for most in the future is the bull run of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah,
that's the bull run that matters. Exciting. It's the bull run of speculation, great, but it's the bull run of adaptability and adoption, market penetration through entrepreneurship. And we have a world that is it's pretty much unbanked, man. This whole, only because we live maybe in first world countries or whatever, developing countries where we have like more means, but man, just the developing world is the capital controllers are horrible, right? Horrible. Where it's extremely difficult for people to even open up a savings account, not even a checking account, a savings account. I personally know that in some third world countries, it literally takes you months to open up a savings account, a personal savings account, right? So imagine when these people become aware of the capabilities and of what this is possible. We have not even begun. This has not started. I mean, this has not started. This is not where it's going to be. Imagine when the music industry, when musicians and artists realize that they no longer have to go through a middleman, but they can actually just go straight to their audience through the blockchain, right? And secure themselves through cryptography, right? So no, I don't think we've started. I think we're about, someone could have the counter argument, well, it's been 10 years. I'm like, yeah, it's been 10 years. Right? But how old is, what is a 10-year-old capable of, right? So right? That's what really excites me, man, is entrepreneurship by far.
Yep. Oh my gosh. Like, you were talking so much and I just had so many things go through my head while you were talking, and probably I will need to, listen to what you were saying a couple times to really understand and digest what you were, talking about. Thank you so much for sharing all of the information. I think it's very valuable. I hope, that will inspire a couple other people to look more into Anarchy, to look into the crypto Vigilante. I will definitely, make a couple posts and let everybody know.
Well, that is at the heart of what I'm talking about. Remember, the most in Austrian economics, in Anarcho-capitalism, the most important person in the economy is you, the individual entrepreneur, right? And these technologies empower you as an entrepreneur to literally do whatever you want, like change the world, do whatever you want. Like it gives you a competitive edge unlike anything else. Unlike anything else. every bank in the future is going to adopt these technologies. Every government in this world is going to be consumed by these technologies. The worst thing that could happen is that we have a horrible tyrannical initiative to stop this advancement of human freedom, and they start persecuting this. I mean, if they persecute this, it only gets stronger, as we've seen in Argentina and China. I mean, so that's not going to stop it. If you persecute it, it's only going to get stronger. What matters is I mean, the last ace that these megalomaniacs might have is a world war. They could do that. They've done it before, right? To consolidate more power. But, you know, that's up to us, right? Again, what changes everything is not speculation, but entrepreneurship. We need more entrepreneurs, and we need people to start thinking highly of themselves. And that's what Austrian economics, that's what libertarian philosophy, that's what anarcho-capitalism focuses on, right? It's on the individual over the collective, right? You should think highly of yourself as a person. Everyone watching this should think a lot higher of themselves, better of themselves, because they are the most important people, the most important actors in the whole economy. It's not your president or someone removed from you or no, dude, it's you. You are the most important person in the economy. And so when people realize that it is the entrepreneur in the true human free market, it is the entrepreneur that matters the most, we're going to have a flooding of entrepreneurship, right? And that's what I want. That's what I desire to see. That's what moves me, you know? So if you're out there and if you're thinking about, oh man, I don't know if you have already a competitive edge above anyone else because you're one of the first adopters. Like the crypto economy is nothing but a pixel, not even a tiny pixel in the screen of what the global economy really is. And that's not even taking into account a third of the global economy, which is growing exponentially, which is the other part of the free market, which is the gray and black markets, which is what people have used throughout history to survive all types of tyranny, right? All of those people, all of that, all the whole world is there for you as an entrepreneur to use these technologies and to engage with the world. So just go ahead and do it because, yeah, it's ridiculous that how, you know, being in crypto for such a long time, and I go see the average person in the market, you notice the burden that they carry on their shoulders, right? From accountants to politicians to doctors to it's every walk of life, musicians, right? People have this burden on their shoulders of constantly having to look over their shoulder, constantly living under threats of coercion, and that's no longer necessary. So, you know, because we created a Byzantine fault-tolerant system where people can be kept accountable, contracts can be kept accountable without the use or the threat of violence, right? It's peaceful interaction. These technologies are providing us with the means for human beings to peacefully interact and voluntarily exchange with one another without having to recourse to literal violence, right? We have systems of escrows already lined up, right? That are incredible, at the Crypto Vigilante, we have a tutorial on just that, on how to utilize a P2P system of escrow, right? So, yeah, we have not seen the beginning of this, and that's the truth. This has not started, right?
Yeah, again, like I'm speechless.
What's the truth?
Yeah, it's the truth. It's
the truth, and that's what there's a lot of hope here. You know, people. There's a lot of hope here, and it's important for people like you to do what you do, and thank you for doing what you're doing because we need more people. I you know, as a libertarian, I like my anonymity, my privacy, whatever. But it came to a point where I'm like, wait a minute, you know, like this is the moment to speak up, right? And since then I was like, all right, Jeff, let's do this, right? But yeah, it really is incredible, and they won't teach you this in business school. You know, but the thing is that everything's changing, right? This is just a completely new world that we're part of now, and everyone should participate.
Yeah, okay, maybe to wrap it up, what advice would you give to somebody who just is learning about blockchain, Bitcoin? You said everybody should participate. How should they participate? What should they be doing? If somebody doesn't have a technical background or doesn't know anything, like what advice do you give to people?
You don't have to have a technical background. You don't have to any advantage that you have in the marketplace, use it, right? Even if you're a cobbler, do that, do that and do it right, and engage with the economy, right? So the number one advice that I would give people is just to take time to learn, right? The learning curve is steep, because the genius of Satoshi is that this group of people, whatever, they were, or she, he, whatever were, is that they took into account many aspects, not just technical, but economic, game theory, so psychological. I mean, dude, we can talk about this for days, right? But the point is that the number one advice I would give anyone is to take a weekend off. Go, just take a weekend to just focus, grab a laptop, some coffee, and just sit down and read and study, right? Read and study, because the most, your knowledge is your most important asset in all of this. You are given mass amounts of freedom here with these technologies, and you are responsible for your dealings, in this. So yeah, just sit down and take time to learn. That's the most important thing. Just take time to learn. And definitely, I would encourage you to become a Crypto Vigilante subscriber. And even if you don't become a Crypto Vigilante subscriber, that's okay. There are many awesome resources out there. We are taking the initiative to literally walk you by the hand, but you could do it on your own. Heck, I did it on my own, right? But yeah, it's take your time to study. Take your time to study this. I can't say that enough. Just take your time to really look into this, to really study this, and be stubborn, be very skeptical.
I think once people do, that first weekend, they take time to study, they just, fall into that rabbit hole of, because there's so much information out there that, once they learn about this, they want to learn about that. And then it's never ending. And then they will just naturally become, an advocate for blockchain and for many other things.
Yeah. And look, it's not just the technical. Again, I'm going to repeat this. Mm-hmm. If you're an attorney, you said you have subscribers that are attorneys. If you're an attorney, this is going to be, if you're in the oil industry, this is going to be applicable to the oil industry. I mean, think about how much records are lost by landmen. Landmen are the ones that companies send out to survey the land before they look at potential drilling sites, right? And a lot of these landmen go into go to courthouses and they just literally they rip the pages apart of these government documents. It's been known that this has happened, and it happens within the oil industry. So you have all of these accounting and databases that are so fragile, all that make up the entire system that we live in, right? Well, look, with these technologies, you can take everything to the next level and really guarantee cryptographic proof that things are the way they are. You can assure contracts. You can do so many things. So, eventually everyone's going to be part of this. But yeah, take your time to learn. Take your time to learn. And also, they say a hammer sees everything as a nail. Well, I'm a praxeologist at heart, and I will always be a student of praxeology because to me, it's the most fascinating of sciences. So yeah, study praxeology. Go to the Mises Institute, Mises.org, and learn about Austrian economics. All of the literature is there for free. That's what I would recommend everyone to do, because it will literally change your life. You'll literally start to see the whole world in a completely different perspective than what you were taught, you know? And it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much again. I think we can stop it here. So much information to digest. And again, I think this will actually really help some other people to look more into other topics instead of just, being close-minded. Yeah. Thank you very much for being on the show. And I hope we're going to stay in touch, and maybe we can have another conversation sometime down the road.
Great talking to you.
Yep.
Thank you very much for your time. Great talking to you. Great meeting you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
His armpits dripped like a wet sponge. Heart racing. Hard to breathe. Every second, watching the price of Bitcoin plummet made his jaw clench tighter. Should he hodl? Sell? Double down and buy more? And then, when Bitcoin shot up, his uncertainty caused him to hesitate again, costing him thousands in lost profits. In fact, whether cryptocurrencies were rising or falling, he didn't know which way to play. But you don't have to lose like that guy, wishing he could trade like a whale, but knowing he'll always be a sardine. Unless he gets schooled on how to trade crypto like a pro. Jeff Berwick was the first financial analyst to recommend Bitcoin at $3 in 2011. If you had bought $1,000 worth, you would have made almost $6.6 million by 2017, enough money to set you up for life. Then he recommended Ethereum at $2 in 2016. If you listened, $1,000 would have turned into a cool $1,116,895. That's enough for a second home, a trip around the world, and a brand new car, with a few $100,000 left over for whatever you want. But that's not all. Jeff also nailed the timing on Dash and called EOS an early winner at only 50 cents, making his subscribers a fortune. But Jeff will be the first to tell you, the winning picks didn't all come from him. There were precise targets from his top secret group of advisors, a group he's held a vice-like grip on. But for the first time, he's sharing his advisors with a small group of smart investors. Together, these cryptocurrency geniuses have created wins of 4,224%, 124,900%, even 317,900%. But he's only opening up this golden ticket for the next few days. And once the door closes, we don't know when or if it'll open again. Even if it does, you'll have missed out on massive potential gains. And you can be sure it'll be at a higher investment. Plus, you'll have lost out on the priceless information you need to keep your transactions 100% safe, so you don't end up in prison or much worse for someone else's mistake. The time to act is now. If you want to stay safe and make crypto investments with 99% greater certainty than everybody else in the crypto Wild West, visit dollarvigilante.com/advisors right now to learn more.